It is time! Yes, indeed! Hey guys, Dov here, and we're looking at the best in class for defensive infantry today. Of course, Dwarven Ironbreakers. Specifically in this replay, I've got the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers, the Regiment of Renown here. Let's quickly take a look at the builds before we get to too much fun here. For my Dowie force, going to be led by Belagar. Got a bunch of miners up front, 4 rangers. The Grudge Thrower was looking for the leadership combo. Here of the 2 debuffs, got Dragonback Slayers also, and a Gyro Bomber. You can see already unloading on these Wolf Chariots. Got a couple of River Trolls, which is different than Stone Trolls. And we've got Spore Splotas, Boar Chariot already punching in the line here. Some Skulkers and the Loons also. And yeah, all going to be led by Azag, swooping in from the side. You can see already the blasting charges making their presence felt. Blasting charges do deal fire damage, and the Ironbreaker blasting charges just straight up deal more damage than the Miners version, so those River Trolls going to get absolutely shredded here. Romulan Dog dives down with the... sound might be a little loud there, guys, sorry. Romulan Dog dives down with Azak here, gets some corals to the face, and then when the breakers turn, the Ironbreakers turn, look at how much damage those blasting charges did. That was pretty ridiculous. The Gyro Bomber is going to be able to get in there and finish him off, and that should be just enough to get things going. Yes, yes. Yeah, I feel like the in-game sound is maybe a little bit loud compared to what it is normally, but hey, we'll roll with it. Hopefully it's okay. And yeah, the Squigs now running in. You can see all of these Wolf Riders. I'm going to try and get a bombing run here, and Azag being gone, you might think it's GG for the Greenskins, but there's still so much stuff here. The River Trolls are coming back. They've also got the leadership of this Night Goblin Shaman as well. Belagar over-pursuing pretty badly here, but nice use of the Loons to get through bunch of these miners here. More blasting charges being thrown over there. Ironbreakers holding the back line for now along with the Dragonback Slayers. But there are a lot of gobos here still. This Wolf Chariot lost a model but likely to come back, and that Zappa down there just keeps zapping the Gyro Bomber. I know it's in danger, and I've already got a pretty good value from it, so I'm just going to go ahead and unload the bombs on that Skulker unit, just get rid of it real quick. Dragonback Slayers also just kind of hanging around here waiting for some large units to charge into this back line, like these Wolf Riders or something. A few more shots from the main gun, as of course the Ironbreakers do their thing and continue to hold. Unfortunately though, they can only be in so many places at once, and with only 1 unit of them here, the Greenskins are going to be overrunning pretty badly. They managed to claw back on this balance of power. Romulan Dog just absolutely scrapping here. A beautiful Vindictive Glare 2 just zaps this Gyro Bomber, and it's going to be gone. Just does not hold its leadership. Stone Trolls, or sorry, River Trolls also having a hard time holding their leadership. The River Troll is kind of a fun pick here. I don't know. The negative melee attack debuff is not super impactful against the Dwarfs. And also, obviously, the missile resistance of the Stone Trolls is just going to be better in this matchup, in most matchups, but in this matchup especially. But either way, Belagar still will trade quite well with any trolls. Basically, Belagar here has no abilities. He's just very cheap, only 1,000 points for a very strong stat line. So he can stand up, punch some of these trolls. Actually, just missed him killing one there. Also quite tanky, got a decent amount of HP. He'll continue to tank there. Meanwhile, speaking of tanking, Ironbreakers here just holding the line against all of this stuff. There's a lot of things left, but the Regiment of Renown Ironbreakers have the highest melee defense of any unit in the game, at least currently. 82 melee defense, and not only that, but Ironbreakers normally, most Dwarf units, in fact, have 75 unit models or less. You look, even Miners here, base 75, but these guys have up to 90 unit models, so they are just an absolute loaf of bread, like stone bread. It's impossible to move. I don't know, that was a really weird comparison. Bread is actually very easy. Let's say it is, I don't know. An anvil, like an actual full-size, you know, anvil. Not even the anvil. They're the entire blacksmith, like building and all, in terms of tanking it. Expert charge defense. They also have Vanguard, of course. Magic resistance, as all dwarfs do. Immune to psychology. The fact that they can just stand and hold units, basically most units in the game, are going to be at minimum hit chance against them, even with things like anti-infantry charge bonus. And on the Greenskins roster, especially what Romulan Dog brought here, there's actually not that many units with really high attack and charge, and that's the best way of breaking through. Right now, they're getting pretty well surrounded, still 62 unit models online, but things are looking pretty desperate. Thankfully, Belagar is here also to help hold the line. Bell's a troll there. And every troll model that goes down here is a great thing. They won't be able to regenerate and come back. I've routed them enough times now that one of them is shattered here. The other one is breaking as well, so things were looking a bit dicey there for a sec. Romulan Dog had managed to claw his way all the way back. Wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hold, but the Ironbreakers just literally tanking out everything else here. I know not everyone is the biggest fan of the Dwarfs, but this is, if you wanna like summarize the Dwarfs in a single unit, this is them. Ridiculously hard to kill. They do have some offensive missile power, but not really too much in terms of offensive stats in general. Pretty low weapon strength and melee attack considering the cost of the unit. But they hold like nothing else. Oh man. The regular Ironbreakers, but especially the Regiment of Renown. Very, very good units. Last 8-peak Loon goes down to them, and that is the game. So well played to Romulan Dog there. Getting Azag sniped right at the beginning was pretty rough. Even I was kind of surprised how effective that was. Like, I'd seen that in some recent replays, especially the Norgrimlings just going face full of blasting charges, and it worked out pretty well there. The artillery, though, was basically a complete waste. Really didn't end up doing anything there. Rangers did some okay damage to a couple targets, but largely got overrun as well. It was really the Ironbreakers and, of course, the Dragonback Slayers carrying the day. Ekron's Miners also, 68 kills, pretty good stuff there. They've got extra blasting charges compared to regular miners, so that helps. Romulan Dog side, I really like the pick of the Boar Chariot here. You can compare, they're pretty similar cost, the Spore Splodas versus the Orc Boar Chariot. And in this matchup, I think Boar Chariots, and in a lot of matchups actually, a pretty underrated unit. I'm planning on covering them eventually. Yeah, the Nasty Skulkers being used to kind of chase and kill routing miners is great, and also Wolf Riders, 2 chevrons, 50 kills. That's great value for the cost right there, like super cost effective. Squig Hoppers also did pretty decently. It was a rough ride for the Wolf Chariots, but, you know, someone had to take the charges to the face. River Trolls also, they didn't end up doing too much damage, kind of got routed in and out a lot there, which is why I would say you definitely want the Stone Trolls. But anyway, let's go ahead and just quickly finish up with Ironbreakers. There's not too many units in this kind of elite defensive infantry class, but I would say they're best in class of all defensive infantry. Even, you know, among their own roster, Longbeards are very cost effective and super good. A lot of mid-tier units could make the argument of being best in class because they're so cost effective, but ultimately for me it comes down to Chosen with Shields, which is another unit I'm a huge fan of, versus Ironbreakers. And I've been thinking about this one for a while. It's pretty tough to say for me personally which one of these guys, the base unit at least, is better. I have a lot more experience using Chosen because I play Chaos more than I play Dwarfs, but Chosen don't have a Regiment of Renown, which is a consideration. Their defensive stats, if we go ahead and do a direct comparison, are worse than the Ironbreakers. Other than HP, they do have more HP. They have less unit models, which means more HP per model, and a better missile block chance, 55%, or 60%. Yeah, I forgot, 60% rather than 35%. So that is a consideration, but the offensive power you'll notice of the Ironbreakers is basically wrapped up all in their blasting charges. So in some situations that's better. better. In some situations, that's worse. Because Chaos has better support, they have magic, first of all, and just has better support abilities, which is saying something because Chaos has pretty bad support abilities, actually. But if you compare with, combine with things like Weird Spawn, obviously Big Bird having armor sundering with Lore of Metal. Obviously, you have other Lores of Magic that have various armor debuffs as well. And in general, you can make these guys hit very hard in melee. And because of that 44 weapon strength and 46 melee attack, 12 armor piercing isn't amazing, but just given the total amount of weapon strength and their health and HP, they can grind very well. But for me, the cake goes to Ironbreakers. They've got charge defense and magic resistance, which gives them even more defensive capability. And ultimately, with defensive infantry, like right now, most of the infantry meta revolves around defensive infantry supporting like monster or cavalry engagements, or just holding the line, eating missiles, whatever else, fighting other defensive infantry. Sometimes you'll see like one or two kind of offensive infantry choices mixed in, but for the most part, the meta largely kind of relies around this type of unit, at least right now. And so yeah, it's very important for them to have good stats to be able to grind in that kind of monster fight or cavalry fight or whatever else. These guys especially, they have enough melee defense that they can take charges, even if their bracing bonus is disrupted. Depending on if they get charged from the side, rear, or front, they can take charges even surprisingly well, and if the unit doesn't have, any unit fighting them in melee that doesn't have, like, I don't know, 50 plus attack is going to have a pretty useless time trying to hit them. They're just not really going to have a good time at all. And I don't really know where I'm going with this, but oh yeah. So basically, these guys can grind almost as good, I would say better than most. And Chosen, they're just a little bit better in a melee grind because they have more offensive power. They can actually contribute more to a fight. But just purely in terms of defensive capability, Ironbreakers take the cake. And of course, the Regiment of Renown factored into this discussion. 90 unit models. They go up to 8,640 HP, which outclasses the Chosen. Keep in mind as well, more models means more blasting charges, and they throw them faster and are more accurate. So these guys have quite a lot of burst potential. You can waste their charges sometimes, or your opponent can try and disrupt them and keep them from using them. If you activate guard mode and issue an attack order, they'll usually still throw their charges if something's in range, even if they're engaged in melee, at least the ones that can turn and do so. And they just, yeah, they're 82 melee defense with 8,640 HP is insane. 125 armor, some missile block chance. Yeah, only 32 weapon strength and 38 attack, but these guys are ridiculously hard to kill, which is why I call them best-in-class defensive infantry. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.